Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a great start to your day and a great weekend out there so far. I do apologize for not being with you guys yesterday evening. Just had a long day, very productive day. It was a great day of getting things done, and I got just about everything done that I wanted to get done, but was just a little wore out. So back to the normal flow this morning. We're going to talk about the weather for today, and then we'll give you an update on what's coming up tonight. We'll discuss a couple things right at the tail end of the video this morning about what's to come, what potentially can we see, how cool, how warm the temperatures are going to be, and the chance for another day of severe weather coming up this work week. So with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's get rolling this morning. Water vapor loop. We still got this system flying through. This low pressure is really slowing down, almost stalling. And with it, we just have rounds of precipitation that are going to continue. It's snowing in portions of Minnesota this morning. And what's going to happen is there's like two rounds. The first round's happening right now. The second round will kind of develop a little bit later today. And then this is what will bring winter storm criteria snow for areas further north. Okay, remember, you got to get a lot more snow to get a winter storm warning up here. Of course, it does factor in how late in the season is, which we are deep into mid-April. I mean, I would consider once we get to April 20th and beyond, late April. But regardless, an area of snow is going to develop, and we'll talk about that in this video. Actually, will probably be the main topic of the video. We'll develop in Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan, and it's going to be interesting. It's snowing in portions of Iowa this morning. Then what's left over of a mesoscale convective system, just a crazy weather term for just a big-time line of storms, has trailed off into the Gulf of Mexico. And I think this is going to act to rob moisture for areas of the southeast today. But I do think we'll have a thin line of showers and storms that could potentially get going for the southeast today. But I think a lot of people will have a nice day, and then we'll watch up here in the mid-Atlantic where maybe a stronger line of storms can develop. So behind it, dry, cooler air. So watches and warnings, winter storm warnings up for several counties in Wisconsin. This does include northeast Minnesota, and then a couple counties in the western UP of Michigan. Winter weather advisories in this purple area. And this is really trended into a potent late season winter storm. Certain areas could get 1.5 feet of snow, maybe 20 inches of snow. So an interesting late season winter storm up here. I mean, it's not totally rare, certainly uncommon. We see it, but yeah, I mean, this is going to be a high impact winter storm for these folks up here. And we'll get detailed about this for you guys here later in the video. Storm Prediction Center, a pretty large marginal risk of severe storms, and this stretches all the way from the heart of Michigan all the way through the Carolinas. And then another area introduced here in Florida. So we're going to have some chance of some gusty winds, small hail, nothing compared to what we saw yesterday. The significant hail that was forecasted yesterday certainly verified yesterday. When we had a scary situation outside of St. Louis. I don't know if you guys remember when we talked about the weather yesterday morning, about it had that elevated area on the updraft helicity swath on the HRRR model that was in and around the St. Louis area. The HRRR model did a pretty good job of trying to pinpoint a storm. And I think as we get going over the next several hours throughout the day, they'll end up probably confirming a tornado. I would probably say EF1 tornado outside of St. Louis. You guys had a scary situation with a tornado warning for the city yesterday and a nasty line of storms that worked its way through. But we'll see how that confirms a little bit later today. But strong to severe storms are possible. It's not going to be an outbreak, so I don't think it's nothing to be anxious about or anything like that. But, it'll just be probably one little consolidated line of storms that whips its way through. Tornado risk is below 2%, so you don't see much with that. But then you got a 5% risk of winds pushing 50 knots or higher. And then not much of a hail threat with this. There will be a hail threat in Florida, but there'll be a hail threat with these storms too, but just not very high. So let's go on and break this down. We'll take a more broad look at first. And like I said, what's left over of this complex of storms, it will continue to trail off into the Gulf of Mexico this morning. And, you know, what happens with this little thin line of storms? I think it'll try to get re-energized sometime later this afternoon. Maybe some isolated showers and storms out ahead of it here in Carolinas and southwest Virginia. We keep this rolling, and I really think this might could get going pretty decent again. The upstate of South Carolina, maybe central to eastern Georgia, all the way through North Carolina, all the way up to the mid-Atlantic and areas of Ohio, and we'll talk about that here in a second. And then we'll have some big-time storms that will probably be enhanced off a sea breeze here, especially the eastern areas of the peninsula of Florida. And they'll kind of meander around. These areas do not need any more rain, but unfortunately, it looks like, fortunately, the storms might be more intense, heavier rainfall just north of the Fort Lauderdale area. But you can't rule out some showers and storms around that area, and you guys just don't need no rain for a while. But, you know, some showers and storms will dance around. And what's interesting is what's left over of this cluster of storms that trailed off into the Gulf of Mexico sometime tonight might actually slam Florida into the wee hours of the morning. Wow, no, not wee hours. I would say late evening, midnight, 1 a.m. tonight will actually ride over Florida. So I think that's a pretty interesting feature that, you know, I mean, this thing started off in Louisiana, gets into the Gulf of Mexico already this morning, ride over the Gulf of Mexico, and then come back, and just the flow of things will push it back into the peninsula of Florida. I think that's pretty gnarly. But the Carolinas, a little bit closer look. If you got any outdoor activities, most of the day will be nice, but just watch on radar for this thin line of storms. I think this will try to beef up a little bit once it gets east of the Appalachian Mountains. So the upstate of South Carolina, Piedmont, North Carolina, you know, probably sometime around dinner time tonight when you're mellowing down for the weekend, 6, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., some storms will kind of work from west to east. And, you know, some of these storms could pack a punch, but if anything, it would just be a nice, you know, spring thunderstorm. I'm actually pulling for this to happen. I think it'll be pretty nice to see a thunderstorm around here. Here in the southeast, the weather has just not been interesting whatsoever, dating all the way back. I would say the last really interesting thing weather-wise that happened here in the southeast was, and it was deadly, but was Hurricane Ian when it made its second landfall on the South Carolina coastline. But, you know, outside of that, this continues to go. Might get some more enhancement down here near the coastal regions of South Carolina, but then this trails off, and then we enter a period of quieter weather and cooler weather. I meant to have Florida pulled up. We can take a little closer look at Florida from my Floridians down here. And here's that leftover, well, let's back it up to 06Z. And before this moves in, you know, I would say around 2 to 3 p.m., storms fire up. Watch out if you're vacationing, you know, in Orlando or for spring break. Points south, some big storms could fire up all the way down to the southern tip of the peninsula of Florida. And some of these could certainly pack a punch, you know, some heavy rain, gusty winds, small hail, maybe an isolated spin up. But then check out this big cluster of showers and storms. I really think this, you know, hits you areas down in Fort Myers and Tampa Point south along the western coast of Florida. And then this rides right over the southern peninsula of Florida. You know, I like to miss and match and mix up my geographical features out here a little bit. Just, you know, I'm just out here testing you guys this morning. But, you know, 5, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, this heads off into the Bahamas and lingering showers and storms. Northeast today, kind of the same as the southeast. Excuse me. These showers and storms will kind of drift in. These showers and storms will kind of drift in from the west, and they will kind of move through Kentucky, move through Ohio, probably sometime this afternoon, and then move through West Virginia. And we'll try to re-energize, I would say, right over West Virginia. So if you're in West Virginia today and you like a good old thunderstorm, I would watch for it anywhere from 4 to around 7 p.m. A line of storms will work their way through. And same thing with Ohio, guys. These will work their way through. They will probably enter the state sometime around lunchtime and sweep through the state over about a 6-7 hour period. And I think they will lose some steam by the time they enter Pennsylvania sometime later this evening, but could still be going strong down here in Virginia. And then these will drift all the way throughout the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, throughout the overnight hours and just really some rain showers. And then behind it, cold air filters in. And we'll talk about this here in a second, where some snow begins to enter the picture here over here to the west. But a little bit closer look at the mid-Atlantic. Sorry, I've been having to clear my throat a lot in these morning videos. It's weird. In the mornings, I feel perfectly fine, but I think it's when I just start talking a lot. It's like I bring up some congestion in my throat. And it's like right after I leave the video and go later throughout the day, I feel I don't have any of that. So I think it's just a morning thing. But we'll get rolling here. We'll get into this evening, and one thing I want to watch for is, like I said, West Virginia, and then watch these storms right when they pop off the foothills. You know, there's always some weird enhancement here in Virginia, so I'd watch for these storms to get a boost here. And, you know, if you're in Virginia, Western Virginia, watch out for some storms in this area for sure. But, you know, like I said, it's just a marginal risk today. It's not a big deal. But probably the quietest portion of the country today would be the South Central U.S., much quieter day today. Not much going on. Cooler temperatures. If you got any damage out there from the storms yesterday, you get a nice, calm, coolish day to just, you know, pick up your yard from any kind of hail damage or anything like that. But just a chill day out here. This takes us all the way through Monday morning and just nothing. Very calm conditions. Need to get this little, hate when this happens. Here we go. But up here in the upper Midwest, it's snowing right now, and portions of, in fact, let's go on and do something on the fly. I want to see what it looks like for Minnesota, St. Paul area. You know, they're reporting a little bit of snow for areas, even some reports of snow accumulating on the roadways north of Minneapolis. So this first round is doing exactly what we kind of thought it would. Heavier snow up here in the northern portions of Minnesota. And you got a little report right here of some mixed rain and sleet. But this is the first round. This will wrap up today. And then cooler air will filter in into this region a little bit later today, where rain is already falling. And then some of this heavier rain will turn to heavy wet snow in kind of this portion of Wisconsin right into here. So we'll definitely watch this today. And to keep this in motion, this is what the latest long-range HRRR model says. By the time we get until about 9 a.m., which is about the next 2 hours here in Central Time, you could abruptly shift from rain to heavy snow here in the northwest corner of Wisconsin. I'm talking about you folks. Hayward, you know, Eau Claire could switch to snow. Places like that will continue to go, and some of this moisture right into here will kind of re-energize, resurge, move out of northern Illinois, Iowa, into the state of Wisconsin. And then this is when I think we have an all-out winter storm that really gets cranking up. And even down here, I mean, you look back at the watches and warnings, you do have winter storm warnings in the southwest corner of Wisconsin, but you could have a period of pretty heavy snow in northwest Illinois, northeast Iowa a little bit later today. You know, this is around 6 p.m. Could be snowing pretty good in this portion right here around dinner time tonight. And then if you're still hanging on to rain right into here, you begin to switch over from rain to heavy snow for a lot of portions. And I think right here is when the snow could really add up, right in the middle of the night. It's a favorable time of the day for the night for heavy snow to accumulate even in mid-April. So we stop it right here. It's snowing at around midnight for Eau Claire, La Crosse. It's snowing for a lot of portions, you know, right here, all the way down to, it's even snowing pretty good. It's even snowing pretty good for northern Illinois. So, you know, Rockford, it's snowing. It's showing it snow in Chicago around midnight tonight. All of central and southern Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin up here, you got this kind of this dry slot, I would say, over kind of Green Bay. But, you know, it's going to be snowing pretty good in the far western counties, far western 2 or 3 counties of the UP of Michigan. This continues all the way through the wee hours of the morning. And then this is the interesting feature we'll watch. By the way, it's still snowing up here in Duluth, northeast Minnesota, western half of Wisconsin, as we're getting into tomorrow morning. But look at this punch of moisture with cold air in. you could have some. You could have some. You waking up to some snow in Chicago, northern Indiana, northern Illinois, and then areas of this basically the southern half of Michigan. You could wake up to some snow falling for your Monday morning, and then you could be dealing with some snow, some rain and snow showers throughout the entire morning and afternoon tomorrow, basically in the entire Great Lakes region. Some of these could be heavy, guys. You could get a quick inch of snow. This will be an interesting little feature tomorrow. I know we're into tomorrow, but definitely some snow possible in Indiana and Northwest Ohio tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see how this verifies, because some of this looks convective in nature, meaning it can be burst of snow. So we keep this going here, and this is snowfall between now and the duration of the event. Like I said, it's picking up on a dusting of snow down here, a couple inches of snow in western Michigan, but look at this area in basically the western half, central to western half of Wisconsin. Over a foot of snow is possible. Let's say if you live Tuma, Sparta, Black River Falls, Neillsville, Eau Claire, Ladysmith, Rice Lake, Hayward, you guys could have a corridor of anywhere from 8 to 14 inches of snow. And then up here, once you get to this area that's bordering Lake Superior, you could have an enhancement. So Ashland, Duluth could get a good bit of snow, but I would say if you're basically riding, what is that, Highway 2? Not sure if that's an interstate there. I'll be completely honest with you. If that's a highway or an interstate, but Highway 2 right into here. You guys correct me up here. It's not going to bother me one bit. I'm pretty sure that's not an interstate, but if it is, cool. You guys let me know. But this area right into here could get 12, 20 inches of snow, getting into far western UP of Michigan. Communities, there's not a lot. Like Ironwood, you got a 20 inches of snow centered right over you from the national blend of all models. The Weather Service is going for, still 18.7 inches. So pretty wild stuff, guys. This is a big hitting late season winter storm for sure. Temperatures today, a trailing cold front, much colder temperatures, 40s and 30s in the Midwest. And it'll be kind of a weird day. For example, in Ohio, you'll wake up this morning with pleasant conditions, 60s and 70s, but the temperatures will actually drop behind the showers and storms that move in. So you'll notice an abrupt drop in temperatures. But a typical nice April spring day in the south central U.S., maybe a touch cooler, probably a little below average for Texas, but cooler temperatures, the deep south, even cooler temperatures, only 60s. But ahead of this cold front, you'll warm into the 70s and 80s from Georgia, the Carolinas, to Virginia, the Delmarva, mid-Atlantic, the Northeast. The only area that will stay relatively chilly is Maine. But, definitely if you got any lingering, snow on the ground, it's definitely wrapping up and melting. So the next severe weather threat that we'll watch is Thursday. There's a 15% risk of severe weather in Arkansas again. And they're already saying that the biggest threat with this is probably going to be large hail and damaging winds. But we'll watch to see how this trends. I made a joke on Twitter several days ago that, the atmosphere has no idea how to eject a low pressure anywhere besides right across the middle of the country. It would be nice if something interesting could happen here in the southeast, but it just keeps on plaguing this area of the country over and over again. So we got that. We'll continue to, we'll do like we always do. We'll break that down deeper and deeper the closer we get to it. And I want to go on and mention this. For the later half of April, it's looking like we're going to have below average temperatures. We have potentially a negative NAO setting up, which is blocking in Greenland. This will help to dislodge cooler air to the south. And so it's going to be, if you got any beach trips planned in the later half of April along the Gulf coastline, southeast, it might be a little cooler temperature wise than you would like to see. But this looks like a nationwide below average kind of pattern coming up temperature wise. So we'll talk about that when we know more. As far as for us in the south worrying about frost and freeze, I wouldn't worry about that too much right now. I think we're getting late in the season, but you never know. We could have some chilly mornings coming up. But that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and talk to you this evening.